Scandals always blow up on the internet, and this specific one might blow your mind. This is the story of Maegan Hall, a female police officer from a small U.S. police station in Tennessee who allegedly slept with 6 male officers from the same department. Who is Maegan Hall, and why was she accused of having affairs with 6 of her fellow co-workers? Let's dive into the story and see what happened.
Toxic workplace behind closed doors, and how sexual misconduct spiraled out of control.
All of social media was baffled when the news of a female police officer from a small police station in Avon, Tennessee, USA, came to the forefront. She was accused of having an affair with her co-worker. Not 1 or 2, but 6 co-workers. How did the news come out? Who ratted her out? Hall's deed was all over the internet, and she literally became a small celebrity overnight. However, not for good reasons. Maegan, who had always wanted to become an actress from her childhood, unfortunately ended up being a police officer, and that's how her world started to fall apart. Maegan met Jedediah Hall and fell in love with him. He was the son of a local pastor. The two got married in the year 2018. As her acting career was a long-lost dream, she decided to join the Avon Police Department in Tennessee, and her husband, Jed, became a park ranger. Both of them seemed to be having a good time and were a perfect couple that everyone envied. There were many pictures of them sharing smiles and being deeply in love with one another. But remember how the saying goes, appearances are deceptive. However, Maegan later revealed that she and her husband, Jed, were having some serious issues in their marriage. These marital issues were exactly what paved the way for the events that followed. As Maegan was not satisfied with her marriage, she decided to do things the way she liked and have some fun on the way. However, her road to fun led her to get involved in some seriously questionable acts. Maegan and her co-workers engaged in some spicy sessions within the confines of the police department, and these included patrol officers Juan Lugo Perez, Louis Powell, Detective Seneca Shields, and Sergeant Henry T. McGowan, who were all fired from their positions along with Maegan. However, there were more officers involved, which included Patrick Magliacco, Larry Holliday, and Gavin Showborough, who got suspended after the investigation. It didn't take much time for the whole world to know about the ordeal. Not only was Maegan accused of wild sexual misconduct, but also having steamy romps with the 6 male officers, which included illicit on-duty liaison. On December 122, 2022, the police department received a shocking complaint. Thanks to a whistleblower, the mayor Jason Cole had found out that there were some serious things going on in his town's police department. An unknown person had ratted Maegan out and her sexcapades with her fellow officers, and these acts happened not only at hotels, motels, and boat parties, but also while on duty. These officers who were supposed to be serving the society and their nation. The head of human resources of the Avon Police Department, Andrew Patton, investigated into this scandal, who revealed some shocking detail. Maegan and her husband were on the verge of filing for a divorce and were on the way to solving their problems before Maegan's scandalous activities came to everybody's notice. Maegan had tricked the officers into thinking that she was in an open relationship with Jed, which was totally a big fat lie. Officer McGowan, who is seemingly the whistleblower to the mayor, had a meeting with Hall and Jed when she had joined the police force initially. Things got out of hand while at McGowan's house. Maegan and the officer's wife stripped off their clothes while they played strip on Uno. Paul was allegedly trying to get Jed to go with the flow, however. Jed was really upset with all the things that were unfolding. He did not want himself to be persuaded, but despite his feelings, Maegan and McGowan reportedly made out. The officer even sent pictures of his genitals to Maegan. McGowan, being the whistleblower, denied having any affairs with Maegan despite all the evidence and was fired for lying during the investigation. Patrick Magliacco, another one of the officers, admitted that he had been with Hall on various occasions. He also revealed that his wife Amy and Maegan made out after learning that Maegan and her husband had an open marriage. According to his testimony, he and his wife Amy had been in an open relationship with Maegan since the spring of 2022. There was a time when Jedediah had walked in on Maegan and Amy making out. They even tried to get Jed into a wife-swapping session. Jedediah, disgusted at what he had seen, departed the room and was quite uncomfortable with the whole situation, because how could a sane married man be into something like this? However, this is just the beginning. The wildest part of the whole ordeal took place on Memorial Day when all the officers in the department were invited to a Girls Gone Wild hot tub party, which was hosted by an officer called Stats on a boat that he owned. Some officers even came with their whole family, which even included their underage children. According to another officer named Durham, in an isolated incident, Magliocco was forcing vodka down Hall's throat, and then suddenly Halls took her top off, and seeing this, stay-ats jumped at Hall and stopped her from drinking and covered her up in order to protect Hall. Both stay-ats and Durham never had any illicit relationship with Halls, or so they claimed. Hall even fell down a flight of stairs at the party before having intercourse with Magliocco. According to Magliocco, Hall was prone to drinking, claiming that she once had even driven home after being drunk at his house party. Magliocco claimed that Hall was prone to self-harm and that she shouldn't be left alone. Hall even pointed an empty gun to her head and pulled the trigger so that she could hear what it sounded like. Hall was quite open about the relationship she had with the K-9 officer Larry Holliday in the first interview. However, she claimed that her steamy sessions with Holliday happened a long time ago. Holliday claimed that he had once invited Hall and other officers to his home to watch the football game. There was some serious drinking involved, and talks broke out about having a threesome between Holliday, Hall, and Holliday's ex-girlfriend. However, he claimed that nothing happened at the party. However, he later came clean about his sexual encounters with Hall, often booking hotel rooms for their liaison. Though she denied many of the allegations initially, she later confessed that she had often sent nude images of her to many officers on duty, including McGowan, to whom she sent her feet pictures. Maegan, on the other hand, broke her silence on the issue after being fired due to the scandal that had come to the notice of the officials. Hall said that she was terrorized into having intercourse with her superiors, who sexually harassed her frequently. She revealed that she felt sexually groomed. She filed a lawsuit where she named some high-profile police officers from the Laverne Police Department and accused them of having taken advantage of her troubled marriage. Her 51-page lawsuit stressed that what happened with her is not rape. Instead, it was a situation where she had to give in from the pressure. Hall's lawyer, Wesley Clark, said that Maegan wasn't looked at like a rookie cop to be trained and promoted, but like a piece of meat to be sexualized and exploited. Hall said, "I know what most people are saying. You know, you could have said no, I get it. But my response to them is I did say no, and he wouldn't take no for an answer." Hall was not in a good mental state and was vulnerable, and the officers took advantage of her situation and used it for their personal gain and satisfying their sexual need. Hall later stated, "I got stupid, I got desperate, and guys are guys and they'll stick their thing in anything." The most shocking part of this whole ordeal is that Hall's husband said that he would stay with his infidel wife even though he knows what wrong she had committed. What do you think of this? Was dismissing all the officers involved an appropriate punishment? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that bell icon, subscribe to our channel. We will be back with more updates.
Ahmed Al-Manhali, a United Arab Emirates citizen, traveled to Avon, Ohio in June 2016 for medical treatment at the Cleveland Clinic. Upon arrival at the Fairland Inn and Suites, he was informed that the hotel was fully booked due to the Republican National Convention. Ahmed politely requested alternative accommodation options. While waiting in the lobby, a SWAT-style response occurred, with Avon officers arriving and detaining Ahmed, who was simply walking out of the hotel while on his phone.
On the ground, no! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Down! On the ground, do it now!
Get on your car.
Down!
Confused by the situation, Ahmed questioned the officers, but they handcuffed and searched him, damaging his phone in the process. They found a second phone, which Ahmed used for business purposes.
What the phone away! Cover the entrance, help me get back.
What is it?
Go down there.
What happened?
Despite no evidence of wrongdoing, the officers treated Ahmed as a terrorist, disregarding any investigation or backstory. Simultaneously, an officer spoke to the hotel receptionist who had made a 911 call, falsely claiming Ahmed had pledged allegiance to ISIS. The officer soon realized it was a false alarm and called off the search. Meanwhile, Ahmed collapsed and passed out, prompting paramedics to administer aid and to take him to a nearby hospital. The incident gained international attention, leading to the United Arab Emirates Ministry of Foreign Affairs to demand an apology from Avon officials. The mayor and police chief apologized to Ahmed, emphasizing that the incident did not reflect their community's values. Marriott International, the hotel's owner, expressed regret and committed to training to prevent similar occurrences.
You should not have been put in that situation like you were.
There were some false accusations made against you, and those are regrettable.
Mayor
Mayor
filed a
Jensen
lawsuit
said in a
against the
statement,
hotel and its
"This
front
was a
desk
very
employees, citing
unfortunate
racial
incident
profiling."
and does not
While the
reflect
police
our
department
community.
initially considered charges
Avon is
against the
proud to
911
welcome
caller,
visitors from the
a
United
grand
Arab
jury declined to
Emirates
indict
and
anyone
other
after reviewing
countries
the
who
evidence.
regularly
After
come
3
to
years of
Northern
litigation,
Ohio for
Ahmed settled
tourism,
the lawsuit
business,
for an
medical
undisclosed
care,
amount.
or education.
The settlement aimed to compensate Ahmed for physical, psychological, and financial damages. However, he still faced lasting emotional distress, was haunted by the officer's eyes, and experienced sleep disturbances. The incident highlighted the need for improved cultural understanding and sensitivity among law enforcement personnel. Here we have Brian Filipiak, a 47-year-old Washtenaw County Sheriff's Lieutenant, who was off duty when he got pulled over. Deputy Morrison, after stopping Lieutenant Filipiak, informed him about the reason for the traffic stop. Subsequently, Deputy Morrison inquired if Lieutenant Filipiak had consumed any alcoholic beverages that afternoon. In response, Lieutenant Filipiak acknowledged that he had indeed consumed a couple drinks. After Deputy Morrison confirmed Lieutenant Filipiak's identity, he returned to his vehicle and instructed the lieutenant to exit the truck for a field sobriety test. The purpose of the test was to assess whether Lieutenant Filipiak had consumed an excessive amount of alcohol, despite it being evident he was clearly unfit to drive. Exhibiting evident signs of severe intoxication, such as slurred speech and watery eyes, Lieutenant Filipiak left no room for doubt that he was heavily under the influence.
Okay, you got your ID?
However, despite this clear indication, Lieutenant Filipiak adamantly refused to comply with Deputy Morrison's request to step out of the vehicle. Instead, he insisted that Deputy Morrison should either allow him to return home or let him sleep it off on the side of the road. In response, Deputy Morrison firmly informed Lieutenant Filipiak that his options were limited and made it clear that he would not allow him to be released in his current condition.
Multiple reckless driving calls about you. Okay? And then when I'm following you, you're hitting the shoulder of the road. You been drinking? How many? Okay. Where are you reaching in the back for? I seen you reaching in the back. You have an open container back there? Okay, you been drinking on the way here? You got your registration, proof of insurance? Do you have a firearm on you? Okay. Do you got your pistol? Are you a corrections officer or just deputy? Lieutenant? Okay.
Despite Deputy Morrison's persistent attempts to persuade Lieutenant Filipiak to exit the vehicle, the latter remained adamant in his repeated request to be released. He proceeded to assert that Deputy Morrison's job would not be jeopardized if he let the situation slide, emphasizing the potential consequences for himself if the matter were pursued.
Brian, I'm going to have you step out of the car when I'll do field sobriety test for you. Okay?
However, Deputy Morrison understood that ignoring the incident would not only lead to his termination, but also result in misdemeanor charges carrying a penalty of up to 1 year of imprisonment or a fine of $1,000. Deputy Morrison was fully aware of the extent of Lieutenant Filipiak's intoxication, as he had allegedly observed the lieutenant discarding open containers in the back seat during the traffic stop.
I'm going to ask you to step out of the vehicle. What would you like me to do?
Just let me.
I can't. I had multiple phone calls. You'd be in the same situation if I was in the vehicle in your county, correct?
All right, just let me stay here.
You can't. I'm going to ask you nicely to step out of this vehicle. Brian, my hands are tied. If I let you go, I'm going to lose my career over you. You don't think I wouldn't? This is northern Michigan. We're a small department. Okay, I'm going to ask you nicely to step out of the vehicle. You know I have my job to do. You know that.
Yeah, and I just want you to...
And I understand your point, your position. Okay, I'm trying to be as cooperative and nice to you as I can.
Despite Deputy Morrison's continuous efforts in trying to have Lieutenant Filipiak step out of the vehicle,
After nearly 5 minutes of persistent requests for Lieutenant Filipiak to exit the vehicle,
Just let me go. And
I'm not. I can't let you go. We're way past that point. You know this.
No,
You're a lieutenant. You know how this works.
yeah, I do.
You would tell one of your deputies if they called you right on the side of the road.
No,
And they asked
let
you what to
know
do.
it's like you're ghosting.
So, if one of your deputies is in the position as I am right now, calling you as a lieutenant, Lieutenant, this is what I got. What should I do? You're just gonna say let him go?
This one,
Why?
just
Just because you're intoxicated. I know it. You've opened alcohol in the vehicle that you're passing back. I know it. You know it. Can't have been God. Ryan, out of this vehicle. I'm asking you nicely. I don't want to see anything worse happen. Okay?
no. Just,
Deputy Morrison, having reached the limits of his patience, opened the door and firmly instructed the lieutenant to step out, avoiding any need for further escalation. Deputy Morrison proceeded to inform Lieutenant Filipiak that he would be arrested for refusal to comply if he persisted in refusing to exit the vehicle. RNO, an abbreviation for resisting and obstructing a police officer, is a felony offense that carries a penalty of up to 2 years of imprisonment, a fine of $2,000, or both. After an additional 5 minutes had passed, Deputy Morrison cautioned Lieutenant Filipiak that he would be tased if he continued to resist compliance with his instructions. Consequently, Deputy Morrison retrieved his taser and aimed it at the lieutenant, while firmly warning him that failure to comply would result in being tased. Deputy Morrison even considered using the backup taser at that moment. In this situation, Deputy Morrison possessed the authority to employ his taser and would not have faced repercussions for doing so. Fortunately, the threat of being tased successfully persuaded Lieutenant Filipiak to finally exit the vehicle. As anticipated, Deputy Morrison did not tolerate Lieutenant Filipiak's resistance, instructed Lieutenant Filipiak to occupy the back seat of his patrol car, intending to transport him to the police station. Despite Deputy Morrison's clear directive to sit in the car, Lieutenant Filipiak persisted in his refusal, stating, "I am who you guys are. Do you guys realize that?" This remark strongly indicated that Lieutenant Filipiak was attempting to exploit his position of authority, seeking a preferential treatment based on his status.
Ryan, we're done with this.
hold on.
Talk to me. Yes or no? Are you doing field sobriety tests?
All right. So if this was the other situation,
Lieutenant Filipiak clearly held the belief that he was exempt from abiding by the law. However, the officers present at the scene were determined to make it evident that such was not the case. Following some further struggle, they managed to successfully place Lieutenant Filipiak inside the patrol car.
I'm not resisting, but let's stop.
You're
Let's talk
tensed
about
up.
it. Let's talk about it. Okay.
We've talked. I don't want to put you on the ground.
No,
I don't want to make this worse.
All right, I will just sleep it off.
Dude, stop it right now. You know? Stop it.
Allowing for his transportation to the police station where he would face the consequences of his actions. Subsequent breath tests conducted at the police station revealed that Filipiak's blood alcohol level registered at 0.28 and 0.27%. For context, the legal limit for operating a motor vehicle in the United States is a mere 0.08%.
What happens? We're going to take you to the jail and ask for a data master. And if you refuse that, we're going to get a search warrant for your blood. Ryan, have a seat.
Stop, guys. Hold on.
Therefore, Lieutenant Filipiak's blood alcohol concentration was over 3 times the legal limit, subjecting him to Michigan State's super drunk law, which carries penalties of up to 180 days in jail, fines of up to $700, and up to 360 hours of community service. So it's time to watch our next case. On July 26, 2021, the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety received a distress call from a female resident of Colton Village Townhomes in Orangeburg, South Carolina. The caller reported that a man was vigorously banging on her door and window, attempting to gain entry. Furthermore, she alleged that the man possessed a firearm tucked into the waistband of his jean shorts. In response, dispatch promptly directed all officers in the vicinity to respond without delay. Officer David Lance Dukes arrived as the first responder at the scene. With his firearm drawn, Officer Dukes exited his patrol car and proceeded to instruct a 58-year-old disabled man, along with his cousin Demario Julian, to immediately lie on the ground. At this juncture, it was evident from the body camera footage that Mr. Gillard was complying with Officer Duke's commands. The recording captured Mr. Gillard raising his hands in the air and proceeding to lower himself onto his hands and knees as directed by the officer. However, before Mr. Gillard could fully assume the prone position on the ground, Officer Dukes unexpectedly and forcefully stomped on Mr. Gillard's neck. The impact caused Mr. Gillard's head to forcefully strike the pavement, resulting in a bruised forehead. Subsequent investigations revealed that Mr. Gillard's delay in complying was due to the presence of metal rods and pins in his leg and hip as a result of a previous injury. Following the aggressive act, Officer Dukes promptly restrained Mr. Gillard by placing him in handcuffs. Immediately afterward, Officer Dukes informed a second officer at the scene that there should be a gun behind Mr. Gillard, suggesting that Mr. Gillard had allegedly left a firearm behind the white SUV where he had been positioned prior to the confrontation.
There's a gun behind me. There's a gun, I believe, behind me.
I ain't got no gun there.
Mr. Gillard assured Officer Dukes that there was no gun present, and upon a quick examination, the second officer confirmed the absence of any firearm. Officer Dukes proceeded to conduct a search of Mr. Gillard's person, accusing him of failing to comply with orders. However, as evident in the earlier body camera footage, Mr. Gillard had been complying with Officer Dukes' commands from the beginning. Not once did Mr. Gillard exhibit any behavior it could be perceived as a threat, thereby negating Officer Dukes' justification for excusing excessive force against him. Once Officer Dukes ensured that Mr. Gillard did not possess a firearm, he decided to search the vicinity of the SUV himself in hopes of locating the alleged weapon. It swiftly became apparent that there was no gun to be found. Instead, it was discovered that Mr. Gillard had been carrying a stick wrapped in shiny silver tape, which he typically used as protection against aggressive stray dogs. Officer Dukes and the second officer helped Mr. Gillard back up onto his feet, at which point he began expressing his dissatisfaction regarding the unnecessary impact of his head on the concrete. The visible injury to Mr. Gillard's forehead, marked by a bruise and swelling, further supported his claim. In response to Mr. Gillard's confrontation regarding the incident, Officer Dukes provided a reply. At this point, it became apparent that Mr. Gillard was in need of medical attention. However, neither of the officers present on the scene initially took this into consideration. Fortunately, Officer Queenie Polidor arrived and promptly recognized the necessity for emergency medical services, requesting EMS assistance. As Mr. Gillard continued to express his grievances regarding the incident, Officer Dukes approached Officer Polidor and another responding officer to inform them about the situation. However, Officer Dukes' account was far from truthful. He claimed that when Mr. Gillard walked in front of the SUV, he believed Mr. Gillard was carrying a gun and repeatedly instructed him to drop it. Officer Dukes made further allegations claiming Mr. Gillard had his hands in his pockets and repeatedly ignored requests to show his hands. However, the body camera footage once again contradicted Officer Dukes' statements.
He was in front of the car when I came up, and he was walking like this. And I thought it was a gun at first. I said, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. I had him at gunpoint.
Clearly showing Mr. Gillard complying with the orders by keeping his hands raised above his head. Officer Dukes mentioned to a fellow officer that he wanted to take the stick as evidence, stating that it was the reason for his actions. In response, the fellow officer promptly questioned the necessity of using the stick as evidence, pointing out that the body camera footage would suffice. EMS arrived at the scene to attend to Mr. Gillard's condition. While Mr. Gillard was being examined, Mr. Julian approached Officer Dukes and requested a card with his details on it. In response, Officer Dukes promptly informed Mr. Julian that he did not possess a card and clarified that the department did not issue such cards in any case. Officer Polidor quickly recognized Officer Dukes' misstatement and promptly corrected him. She asserted that they indeed possessed cards and proceeded to provide Mr. Julian with her own cards as requested. On July 31, 2022, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division announced that Officer Dukes was taken into custody and charged with first-degree assault and battery. Several months later, in November 2021, Mr. Gillard received a compensation settlement of $650,000 from Orangeburg, South Carolina. City officials additionally expressed their commitment to establishing a citizens task force to provide oversight and guidance regarding interactions between residents and the Orangeburg police.